Ladies and gentlemen, these statistics are leaving all Barcelona fans, including myself, confounded because how is it possible that Lamine Yamal, at 18 years of age, already has better stats than Lionel Messi when he was 18? Now, first, I want to say that this doesn't necessarily mean that Lamine Yamal is going to be better than Lionel Messi. He still has a whole career ahead of him. But obviously, it is something to highlight that Lamine Yamal at his age already has better stats not only than Lionel Messi, but also than Neymar and Cristiano Ronaldo at their respective ages. Neymar had 29 goals and assists, Mbappe 13 goals and assists, and Ronaldo 9 goals and assists when they were all 18 years of age. In my opinion, I think that this is answerable by two key points. Number one is obvious. Lamine Yamal, his abilities, his talent, his skills out there in the pitch, he is set to become one of the best players to ever play the sport. And number two might be slightly controversial, but I think that records are made so that they can be broken. Lionel Messi, Ronaldo, Neymar all set great records that seem impossible to break, but are still breakable. I think it was only a matter of time that these records be broken, and Lamine Yamal has already demonstrated that he is probably going to break some of them. And then once Lamine Yamal retires and we're all like 50 or 60 years of age, then there'll probably be somebody else out there set to break Lamine Yamal's own records. Still though, a crazy stat that demonstrates that the game is just developing more and more as a generation. So I was in my car chilling, scrolling through social media, about to have my training session, by the way. It was around 11 a.m. when I first saw the news that Fermin Lopez was allegedly set to leave Barcelona to join Chelsea for like 50 million euros. And as I was scrolling, one of the more popular accounts that I follow made a post of some words that Fermin Lopez said like 2 weeks ago, where in an interview after a match, he said, I think it was a Joan Gamper, he said, "I'm going to stay at Barcelona. I love this club, etc., etc." And I wanted to make a video about it then, but I just decided to wait till later in the afternoon because I wanted to see if more news developed. And ever since then, I have been scrolling on social media and I've been seeing a lot of Barcelona fans talk about this, specifically some of them from Spain who mentioned that there's several sources in Spain that are saying one thing, some are saying other things. For example, there's some sources in Spain that are saying that Chelsea already sent a 50 million proposal to Barcelona, whereas others are saying that that is just simply not true. And at the same time, other sources are saying that Fermin Lopez is now considering leaving Barcelona, despite only 2 weeks ago he said that he was going to stay. And so after hearing all of that, the only conclusion that I have come up with for you guys right now is that Fermin Lopez is not going to leave and that these journalists in Spain are just capping just for views. Look, it just makes sense. Right now, there's nothing to talk about. There hasn't been really anything new in the transfer market. Only yesterday did we hear that Barcelona were thinking about buying a youngster from Villarreal for 10 million euros. But other than that, there isn't really anything big going on. And so it just makes sense that these journalists are just making something up just because why not? They get the attention that they want by making up these fake news when, again, Fermin Lopez himself 2 weeks ago said that he's not going to leave Barcelona. Here, I found it for you guys. I will not leave Barcelona. I will stay here. Barcelona is my dream club. The fans can rest. And look, maybe it is true that Chelsea were inquiring about Fermin Lopez, sure. But here's the thing. Chelsea have over 100 players in their squad. Why on earth would Fermin Lopez decide to leave the best club in the world to go and play at a club that are literally stacked with players? Like, that really just doesn't make any sense to me. And look, culers, I wish I could have told you guys this news in the typical format that I usually deliver my videos, but I really just kind of wanted to be real with you guys on this thing because I didn't want to use what was fake news to just push for those fake news when I knew that it's not going to happen. Like, I'm genuinely convinced that Fermin Lopez is not going to leave Barcelona, and I want to make that clear to you guys. So please, let's not push fake news. Fermin Lopez loves Barcelona, and he's going to stay there. Mark my words. Ladies and gentlemen, attention to the words that Sergio Busquets has just said about the Ballon d'Or. Honestly, I don't know how the Barcelona community is going to take these words, but culers, nonetheless, drop a follow and let's get to this. Sergio Busquets was just asked about the Ballon d'Or. I'm assuming the questions were of the nature of who do you think is going to win it, who deserves it, etc., etc. Well, as an ex-Barcelona player and legend of the club, one would expect Sergio Busquets to back up his own teammates, or you could say ex-teammates, still at Barcelona. But culers, that is simply not what Sergio Busquets has done. Because instead, the midfielder has backed up none other than Ousmane Dembélé for winning the Ballon d'Or. This is what he said, quote, "I hope that Ousmane Dembélé will win the Ballon d'Or. He has been much better than the others this year and more consistent. There are also others from Barcelona who deserve it too, but I don't know what those who vote will decide. May the best win." Now, from these words, there are several things that are evident. Number one, Sergio Busquets hopes that Ousmane Dembélé wins the Ballon d'Or. Number two, he recognizes that there are also other players who deserve the Ballon d'Or too. And number three, which is most important, he leaves the final decision up to the votes themselves. Look, from my perspective, I understand Sergio Busquets backing up Ousmane Dembélé. He did play with him most than he did with Rafinha and also Lamine Yamal. I respect his decision. I understand where he's coming from. That's just my opinion as a Barcelona fan. But culers, I'm open to hearing your perspective, so please let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comment sections. Attention, ladies and gentlemen, we have breaking news as an ex-Barcelona player was spotted wearing a Barcelona jersey Messi in his own training session. Maybe you guys already know who I'm talking about, but these news have spawned a lot of questions within the own Barcelona community, thinking as to what would have happened if this player stayed at the club. The obvious player that I'm talking about is none other than Joao Cancelo, ex-Barcelona player, and for many, a legend at the club already. He was at Barcelona for only one season on loan under Xavi Hernandez, and for many fans, he was a crucial piece to that system. As mentioned, he was recently spotted in his own training sessions at Al Hilal wearing a Barcelona jersey. I don't know if that caused any drama within his own club, but what I can reassure you guys of is that this spawned a lot of questions within the own Barcelona community, and these are several of them. And keep this in mind, one of them is connected to today's drama. The first one is, what would have happened if Joao Cancelo stayed at Barcelona? Though we can only speculate here, what we can be clear of is that Joao Cancelo would have played a pivotal role to Hansi Flick's system last season. The second question, being the most important, is can Joao Cancelo be brought back to Barcelona? This is going to be difficult, but Hansi Flick has been demanding for a new defender, namely a center back, but nothing can ever be ruled out. If Joao Cancelo is still wearing the Barcelona jersey to his own training sessions, then we can be sure that he would always be open to rejoining. Not only that, but if he is still playing at a top level, then I don't see why Barcelona would not just bring him in on a free. Nevertheless, culés, I leave these questions to you guys now. Please let me know what you guys think down in the comment sections. Please drop a follow so you do not miss out on future news. Ladies and gentlemen, Barcelona have already found the next Lamine Yamal when Lamine Yamal is still only 18 years of age. For those who don't know of John Virgili, he just played against the Flamengo U20s, and what he did in that match was just mind-blowing. How is it possible that him carrying the ball right here in the air, by the way, against this tall defender, probably twice his size, managed not only to dribble him, but somehow also managed to take on the keeper, control the ball on the ground while there's defenders around him, and end up scoring that goal against Flamengo. But here's the crazy thing about John Virgili. It isn't only his skills per se, but it's also his mentality and his confidence. Like, this guy was really about to leave Barcelona just because he wasn't gonna get enough time. Barcelona decided to send him to the 4th division because at this moment he simply can't compete with the strikers up front. But John Virgili himself said, oh nah, I am levels above this. I deserve to be playing at a way higher level, so I'm gonna be leaving the club. When Barcelona realized this, they said, oh, okay, wow. Now the club are facing a huge dilemma because they recognize that John Virgili is right. He deserves to be playing at a higher level in the 4th division, but at the same time, they simply do not have space for him. So at the moment, what the club is thinking of doing is loaning him out for one season for him to develop and play at a higher level. But I'm saying it right now, they better act quick, because if they let John Virgili go, they might just be letting go of the next Lamine Yamal. And I'm being serious. For those who haven't seen this highlights, please just go and watch the highlights against Flamengo's U20. Look at how he leaves my man on the floor with a simple feint. Here's a different angle where you can clearly see the defender was like, oh, that just happened. Ladies and gentlemen, John Virgili, the next best thing. Ladies and gentlemen, attention, as a hidden camera revealed the reaction of the Barcelona players after the referee was deciding as to whether or not award a penalty to Levante this past weekend. You can clearly see how confounded some of the players were. We can see Ferran Torres Rogier, Ronaldo Araujo. We can see Pedri even right there looking at the monitor. We saw also Pedri talking with some of the Levante players. But more crazy than that, we also saw Lamine Yamal, who seemed frustrated after watching that. I mean, he was literally watching the screen and he saw, like, he was talking with the referee. He was saying there's no way that's a penalty because he pulls his hand away and his hand is close to his body. You can even see Pedri, as I mentioned, arguing with the Levante players, who they were always going to argue that this is a penalty. This is what rival teams always do. But I just find it absolutely crazy that the Barcelona players themselves, they saw this and they were just astonished that the referee was even considering awarding this. Pedri later revealed in the post-match interview that this was never a penalty and that he was comparing it in his mind to that one incident where the ball touched Tchouameni's hand in El Clásico and the same referee, Fernandez did not award it. I mean, just imagine the thoughts of the other players that were probably thinking the same thing, like saying, well, if he didn't award that penalty at Madrid, how on earth is he going to award this one? In my opinion, I think that the referees have to also give a post-match interview to the decisions that they made in the field, because I think that would just provide a lot of clarity. Culers, let me know what you think. Ladies and gentlemen, this La Liga season just keeps getting crazier and crazier as the days go by. I cannot believe these news just came out. Please, Culers, drop a follow and let's get to this. And before you run to the comment section and ask, Carlo, how are these news even relevant to Barcelona? This has nothing to do with us. Just hear me out on this. First and foremost, Fabrizio Romano just confirmed a few minutes ago that Carlos Soler, ex-Valencia player, has joined Real Sociedad from PSG on an official deal. Again, how is this relevant, you ask? Well, if we take a look at La Liga standings in just 2 matches, we begin to see some odd patterns. First and foremost, what is Villarreal doing at that first position? Who gave them the right to do that? Not only that, but also Getafe and Athletic Bilbao have had great starts to the season, all of them winning their first 2 matches. Culers, if it isn't obvious, this La Liga season is going to be one of the most complicated ones that Barcelona, Real Madrid, and Atletico de Madrid have ever played in a long time. Teams are getting stronger stronger as the new generations are coming up, and teams are also reinforcing their squads with great players such as Carlos Soler to Real Sociedad. And the crazy thing is that Real Sociedad have tied their first 2 matches, meaning that teams like Getafe and Athletic Bilbao have had better starts to teams like Real Sociedad, who are expected to be at the top 6 minimum. With Carlos Soler now joining their team, we can be assured that they're going to be a much stronger squad than they were last season. And while that is always going to be problematic for the bigger clubs, well, we like competition, don't we? Culers, let me know what you guys think down in the comment sections. Drop a follow, and God bless.